Welcome back to the number 5 podcast in the world. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Thanks for tuning into the Outspoken show. We've got Jack with us today, good mate of mine. And of course, we got Dinner.
Of course, Dinner's always here.
Who we've been roasting last episode about improving your social media presence.
Yeah, like I said, I'm planning on detoxing from social media just because Luke's telling me to grow my social media. That's the kind of person I am.
No, it wasn't grow. I said just post good pictures and use a name that people, like, don't use your last name because people don't know your last name.
Can I use first name then last name?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Dinor.Lantakis. It's already been changed. You've influenced me. It's success.
Can you say that name again, just one more time? That sounded beautiful.
Dinor.Lantakis.
Oh,
So I then went and grabbed that list, that full list of 20 different rules for young men.
Yeah.
That one of them, number 1 is love and lust. So did you want to read them out? Because I thought we could just review them.
Look, your dad's been doing some reading because it is number 1. Know the difference between love and lust. I want to know what you've done first, Luke, that's made him send you that.
Well, that's what he reckons it was an accident.
How do you accidentally send
That's
something
what
that's
I think.
specific?
That's why I said, like, did you like?
Because you're a confused young man. So
But what's the difference between love and lust? Like, isn't that obvious?
yeah, I mean, what's the difference between love and lust?
Like, is it your dick or is it your head thinking? Isn't like the one question that answers it?
Well, so you think love is just in your head? Because love's kind of a feeling.
Well, I don't know.
really?
Like, you said the two that should be hits with that one.
I think love's the feeling and emotion, and lust is the tool that you use to express that emotion.
True. So it goes like hand in hand.
Hand in hand together, yeah. I think it's an emotion and then a tool. Probably calling lust a tool is a little bit aggressive, but yeah, no, I think they go hand in hand for sure. But yeah, I think it's the lust is definitely the way you express that feeling.
But
so.
I guess you can have lust without love, and that's probably thinking with the dick.
Yeah, I think that's exactly thinking with the dick. Like, just lust. You're not thinking about the future with this person. You're just thinking about that one moment.
Very short term solution. Yeah.
But someone you love, you can be lustful with sometimes as well. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Well, that's what you.
it's
hope,
okay. Yeah, you want to be both. But yeah,
And
All
diddles out of your creating babies.
we'll jump on to the next. It's okay to go to the movies by yourself.
Nah.
No.
This is a good one because
Why?
I used to think no, but then Dad tells me like I'll go to movies by myself sometimes. Then I started thinking about why I don't do it. And
Well, why don't you do it? I don't do
Because
it.
I'm
not
a fucking
gonna do it.
idiot. Because like I just care what other people think. Like because I'm that guy thinking.
Hang on. If
Why
you
the guy at the
don't,
movies
if
by
you don't
himself, what a
care what
weirdo.
other people think, like anything is possible. Like there are no laws if you don't care what other people think.
Yeah, but then you're free.
That's not good.
That's real freedom. Not giving a shit what other people think. Yeah, of course it can be bad if you start doing crazy shit. All right, hygiene is more important than you think.
yeah. Yeah.
Certainly, yes. Particularly for the other sex, I think they take a big interest in that. And if you're not up to their standards, and I don't think you can get your lust into effect.
That's fact. But it's also not that hard, I guess.
No, so far these are pretty self-explanatory. Anyway, never date a friend's ex.
I think that's bro code, isn't it? Right?
Yeah, it goes
You
without.
can't
Seems
do
pretty
that.
reasonable. More trouble than that's worth. Stay informed on what's going on, and don't be a sheep.
That's a big one. Staying informed. Because I think like it's good, but there's also nice parts about not knowing the news because so much of it's shit. And is it worth knowing about?
It's good
Like, do you need to know about the stabbing at King's Cross last night? Like, while it sucks, like, just,
Probably
I don't know.
not.
I feel like it's just a bit of a waste of energy or concern.
Is that not more so you can have a conversation with anyone at any point? So if you know what's going on all the time, you can just strike up a conversation with anyone because you just go on to current events. Surely that's just like a stay confident talking to people kind of thing. And not being an idiot and like naive to the world.
What was the second part of that? Don't be a sheep.
Yeah, don't be a sheep.
I think it's important to have your own opinion upon things, current or not current. You just got to take a genuine interest in what people do and where they've come from, I guess. So I think that's pretty self-explanatory, yeah.
It's weird that they're like grouped in together though. Why they would be, because they're not that relevant to each other. Like stay informed, but don't be sheep at the same time.
Is it the sheep, like, that look at the Facebook feeds, like the Korea Mail type stuff where...
Yeah, you just regurgitate
Everyone's-
everything
yeah.
you say, then you go on, jump on the bandwagon. Yeah, you get criticised if you're not a sheep because people don't like when you don't do what they tell you to do. Luke, that is...
What?
You get angry at me, mate. You say I'm too docile. Anyway, have a sense of humour, but don't joke about your dreams and goals.
That's fair.
Yeah. I mean, these are very
But
standard...
I think it's okay to joke about.
Well, it says don't joke about dreams and goals. Maybe that's laying into someone for having a big dream. That's
True.
And then they start to get demoralised and... Yeah.
As long as they have the right steps in place to achieve that big goal, I think that's the most important thing. You can have a joke about, you want to be the president, but if you don't have the steps in place to achieve that goal, then I think it's pretty irrelevant. So
What's on your mind, Dig?
mine right now,
Scott Morrison.
Oh no, that's not my dream.
It's hot in here, eh?
It is hot. It is very hot.
All right, stand up to bullies. You'll have to do it once. Or you'll only have to do it once. There you go.
Have you guys stood up to a bully before?
I don't think I've been in a situation like that. Like, at my school, I never seen it. Have you?
I'm not off the top of my head. Not a typical bully scenario, bully case. I don't think so. I mean, I've stood by my mates while a bit of shit's been thrown at them, and you know, try to get involved where possible. But I don't think I've been the one to walk into a situation and fully take control and throw hands or anything like that. But I think, you know, you always back your mates in a situation like that. So.
Yeah, I only caught bullying a few times at school. I just stopped going near the person who was bullying me, and then they stopped.
Pretty simple, right?
That's standing up and just tell us, like, avoid the situation. I don't know.
Well, should you have stood up there? Like, if you were looking back or speaking to your younger self?
Yeah, well, I just gone to the high school. I knew like 3 people at the school, and they weren't the people who were copping it to me. So I just decided not to go near him. I hated that guy for about 3-4 years. Then I just realized, like, just a young kid being like a young kid. Who gives a fuck? Like, it was nothing on me. They just, for some reason, took a dislike to me. You know what it was? I kept beating him in handball. He was just pissed off. So I always held on to that. I'm like, I was just better than him, so he was just angry at me. Learn how to tell stories.
I think that's important.
I think it's important to have that skill in a large setting as well. I think it's easy to say one-on-one explain, you know, a story of any kind, but have the ability to do it in different situations when you're having a drink with your mates, in a family dinner setting. You know, obviously we think about like weddings and, you know, times where you got to speak in front of large crowds. I think it's important to be able to capture a story and then also explain that in a way to the crowd where it's appropriate for everyone. Think about, you know, at a wedding, you're going to have grandparents there, you're going to have, you know, in-laws there, you're going to have your friends there. So a way to encapsulate a story that, you know, is suitable for everyone, I think is an important skill.
I think, like, in the business world as well, I think we've spoken about it, how Elon Musk is so boring, and yet he's got to be able to be good at telling a story to convince investors to invest in his company, like Tesla, that only just started making money.
But with him, didn't we come to the conclusion that it's like, he's just so smart. They know he's so good at what he does.
Yeah.
In that case, that very rare case where you're a genius, who gives a shit if you can tell a story or not? You've got the results. You're showing these people. The story is how good you are at what you do.
Yeah.
But yeah.
How much would you value storytelling, or like on a 1 to 10 scale then?
Well, if you're talking about someone, who you going into business with?
In any sense, how important is it as a skill to have?
It's great as a skill to have if you want to like be friends with someone, because like if they're able to talk to you and tell you a story, and it's interesting to be around someone. That's just
1 to 10?
I don't know.
Pick
7.
a number.
7. I don't know. It's like if they can't tell a story, I'm not going to hate them because they just, I don't know. It's fine. But if you're trying to listen to someone, if I'm listening to a podcast and they can't tell a story, I'm not going to listen to that podcast. It's too boring. So as an entertainment thing, 10.
Good to
you
know.
got to be able to tell me what you're talking about or be able to describe it. Next one, don't lean on porn to be better in bed. Read the right books.
The books.
What books?
What
Kama
books?
Sutra?
I don't know what books you're talking about. I think porn probably isn't the best thing in a relationship unless you're willing to get a little bit frisky and explore the boundaries of what you're doing in the bedroom. But yeah, no, my partner and I, we don't watch porn, so I think it's something we try and do through experience.
You watch no porn? No. That's impressive.
Yeah, dude, barely. Like, there's no need to when you're in a like long-term relationship.
We got an in-studio audience, and they don't agree.
Like, there's no need to because it causes more problems than it's worth, to be honest.
Fair.
I think it creates that unrealistic picture too of what
Yeah.
you should be doing or what could be done. So
Yeah, because even like growing up watching it, because from like 13, I was probably watching it all the fucking time. Then when you get into a relationship, you're like, this is not what real sex is like.
Interesting-
Like, it's
interesting
completely
little-
different.
yeah, interesting little segue here. Nick, who's in studio with us now, we went to boarding school at Churchy, and we actually someone had an iPod which we called the porn pod because the only thing on it, the only thing on this iPod was porn, right? And people would pass it around like wildfire. Honestly, yeah. Oi, Nick, you're done with that now. I need it, and you literally throw the iPod over the roof, over the room to the next person, and you know they'd have a go, and then someone else would come in later, and yeah, so. Pretty interesting one. Sorry, that was a little bit of a weird segue there.
The things that phone has
But
seen.
was that the iPod because it was already downloaded on the phone, or just history didn't matter on that phone?
So a little bit of more background to that was that we in boarding school had hand in our phones. So no one had anything, but we're allowed, or someone would obviously hand in their phone, but have the iPod still on them, and then that's what people
You got shared the
got
iPod.
shared, right? Yeah. So it was more that no one had their own phones to access that type of pornographic material themselves.
Brutal. I mean, hey, don't complain. You seem helpless. And then it says 80%, 20%.
What the fuck's...
I don't know what 80%... Is that 80-20 rule? I've heard that thrown around for like diet.
Yeah, is that Pareto principle? Like the majority can be... No, what is...
I don't know. In this context, it gives me no more than 80%, 20%. But don't complain. You seem helpless. I think that's good advice. Like if you're just always complaining, then you kind of seem like someone who's not doing anything or any actions.
Yeah.
Some balance to it.
I'll try and relate this to something that my uncle says. It's don't create excuses, just make results. And I think if you complain a lot, then you'll probably have a poor mentality towards a lot of situations in your life. And I think it's important to meet those challenges head on. So yeah, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Goes for itself.
This next one's a good one. I like this one. When you come across a successful person, talk/impress less, ask more. Good advice.
I think so for sure.
Don't try to impress them. Just learn from them because
I'd just be a sponge. Ask probing questions. I think ask them, how they got to where they are, and then try and apply those little things, whether it be actual steps or personality traits or little details. I think trying to apply that to yourself is pretty good advice there.
I watched a Joe Rogan podcast with Kevin Hart, which is just like a lecture.
Love that one.
Yeah, because there's two of them. But in one of them, he was telling a story where it was at it might have been like a Super Bowl after party or something, and Jeff Bezos was there. And Kevin Hart's just like a kid going up to... Have you listened to it? He's like a kid going up to Jeff Bezos going like, I respect what you do. Like, you're a genius. Like, this sort of shit. And he's probably equally excited to meet Kevin Hart or whatever. But he goes like, I just had to go up to him and ask questions because like he's one of the smartest men alive. And Kevin Hart goes, I think too many people are too self-conscious or too smart to ask smart questions.
Yeah, they're too worried about looking dumb or like, oh, he's going to think I don't know everything. Like,
yeah,
fuck that. Ask the question if you're curious. Like, that's some of the best advice, I think. Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a silly question. It goes for anything. Like, if you don't know, you don't know. Just ask it, and you'll learn something from it if you don't know. So, I mean, if I saw Jeff Bezos right now, I mean...
God, I wouldn't let him leave.
No.
I'd be asking him so many questions.
How, what do you put in place to do this, X, Y, Z, that'd be such a fascinating conversation.
You would have gone in space with him.
You
want to be one of those 5 in that little shuttle.
He's selling seats to go up to the moon. It wasn't the moon.
One was a lottery, wasn't it? Like maybe you had to pay to get in the lottery or some shit. But I think one of the seats, wasn't it like
it's 29
public?
Million.
Was it 20?
Yeah, 29 million. This person bought a seat to go to flight. I think it was 29 million.
Oh, man, I have no
but
idea.
whoever, it was obscene. But he didn't actually go.
Why?
He cancelled.
Busy.
Why?
I don't know. But
it's something on.
But you know that meme of like Baytex, I'm free, like I got a free house,
yeah.
and then the guy's running. Like that was applied to.
Oh my God.
The dude bailing on Jeff Bezos.
Surely have to be a pretty serious situation if you've paid that amount of money for a flight. And a flight. What do you call it? A flight? Do you call it
a space flight? I guess.
Space flight.
You got 29 million to spend on going to space, then
winner paid $30 million for space flight with Jeff Bezos.
You're just a flex, like fuck it, I paid 30 million to go to space, and
didn't.
then I turned it down. I don't have time for that. Who the fuck is this guy? This is like some oil money. Just
like the IRS, like all the tax agencies worldwide, and just look it up, just popping out of the woodwork.
That's crazy, man. Anyway, have a memorable style.
What's that mean? Like
personality style or dress style or?
I guess it means just kind of stand out. Like, people talk about you, like, oh, he did that. He's like that.
Although I think that sort of pigeonholes you into, you're the podcast guy. You play for the Broncos. I was out last night at Felons and saw Payne Haas and David Fafita. And the amount of people that came up to them and got photos was just obscene. And they were behind me. And Matilda, my partner, was like, I want to get a photo with them. I was like, no, they're just regular blokes. Like, yes, they do something really good for a living and they're very famous. But how annoying would it be if I was in their shoes for people to continually come up and ask for photos, Instagram, can you tag me in your Instagram story? Like, all that stuff is just, I wouldn't want that if I was in that situation. So I'm not going to do that to someone. If I was genuinely interested and had a question, I would have gone and asked for them, but I sort of know about them. I know what they do, so I'm not going to bother them.
I guess if you're like an aspiring rugby league player, it makes more sense as well to ask the question. Yeah. But yeah.
That's not the setting to go ask them anyway. When there's 30 people trying to get a photo with them, like,
true.
No, like you see them at your rugby club, they'll come around, or like you get an opportunity. That's where you can probably get some real.
I guess there's probably no perfect setting, and people see it as a window of opportunity, and they just do whatever they can to get the attention.
Yeah. It's desperation.
Of course it's desperation.
I hate it. I can't say, I don't get the like fanfare thing around people, famous people. I understand it, but I would never do that. It's crazy. Even if it's someone I completely respected, If there's a mob going after him, I'm not joining that mob. I don't care.
Well, if it's a mob, it's probably harder to get you shot. But I'd be more interested in that question than a photo.
Oh, yeah, of course. People just take photos of people. Like, that's just crazy to me. Like, you got a photo of them, okay.
And what are you going to do
What
with
did
that
you do?
photo? You
Yeah.
got to put it on social media for other people to see. Like, it's not doing anything for you besides trying to get you some clout. I don't get it either, to be
Clout.
honest.
That's what it is, clout.
It is.
My least favorite word in the dictionary. All right, don't feel guilty for being ambitious.
That's fair.
I agree. 100% agree.
People are always going to try and shut you down if you got an idea that seems like, oh. People, I think that's an insecurity thing for a lot of people. They like haven't either pursued their dream or they don't have a big goal or know of any goal that they could dedicate their life to. So you're doing it and they're like, oh.
I feel like that's the whole theme of this list is insecurities and what, people thinking other things about you or, what you think everyone else is thinking. I think it's pretty rubbish. Do what you want to do that makes you happy and, go after it and who cares what anyone else thinks. You have your close mates.
The speaker. What else we got?
I mean, be mentally and emotionally ready to lose loved ones.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Tough one to swallow. Tough one to hear, but it's true. You gotta deal with that when that happens, and it's hard, and there's no right way to deal with it. So
And I feel like you can't be ready for that till it happens. Like at least one time, just so you're kind of aware of the emotions and things that go on with that.
Just knowing, I guess, it will happen at some point in time.
Yeah, having a realistic perspective. Yeah.
Unless you die first.
That way, you don't have to worry about that one. It's fine. If you're the first to die,
That's not good.
yeah, that's rough. All right, always have some cash, condoms, and a power bank.
That's fair. I think power bank to book an Uber or whatever, call some emergency services if cash, just in case, like last resort.
do you guys have cash on you? But any chance? See, that's the thing. I don't carry cash.
I have $10.
Really? What for?
That was given to me, so there you go. You share someone lunch, they give you $10. That's what it is.
When was the last time you had cash? Or like regularly carried cash? Because birthdays, it sort of...
I like the idea of having cash.
I used to get paid cash for tennis lessons, and I think that'd be the only time where I would carry cash in my wallet, or I'd keep a book at home where I put it in. Besides that, I think this is the part of the new generation too. All of our stuff is on cards and transfer through bank account to bank account. But in the olden days, I think your dad and mum might be the same, but my dad carries wads of cash, like just because he can, and that's what he does when he goes to the pub. He'll pay in cash, not going to tap a card. Like, I don't know if that's part of the changing dynamic, but I don't carry cash at all.
I like the idea of carrying cash because I feel like it's harder to spend cash. This will explain to me. I think it was in one of the videos. I think it was Dave Ramsey, one of those big financial YouTube guys, but he was talking about like, have cash. Cash is harder to spend than just tapping your card. You think about it more with the cash.
You see it. You see the actual money leaving. I think, whereas you just see some numbers on a screen, it doesn't matter. But physically, you can see it, and it's pretty dangerous when you can keep a bit more of a track of it too.
Yeah, I like the idea. I might even start implementing that when I like go out, just like if I'm going out, if I'm going to dinner, like I'll have a certain cash to spend instead of going too crazy. I like that.
You don't fucking go crazy.
Do you feel?
Yeah.
I feel guilty when I carry cash though. Like, I don't know, a lot of cash, particularly like when I see, Dad was like $500, not a lot of money realistically, but when you see, $10, $50 notes, you're like, fuck, like people might think he's a drug dealer.
Yeah.
People might,
Especially now. eh?
yeah. So I feel a bit guilty carrying a lot of cash. So that's why I just tap, tap, tap.
Yeah.
Either a drug dealer or gambling addict. Because they're the only places you get cash.
Or both.
Be aware of your level of sensitivity. I don't know.
I think that's in relation to don't say anything that's gonna affect someone else's feelings. Like I think initially like racial stuff or things in.
Even though you might be thick enough to take something, an attack on you, but other people may not be. You just might be more thick-skinned.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, I think you can interpret it a couple of ways. Be aware so you know how much you can take, I guess. Or if something's going to offend you, then you know how much to level. I don't know. I'm trying to trip. Words are hard. I'm just trying to figure out what the...
What else we got? How many more?
You tell me to move on? You saying I'm ruining it here?
No, I'm not saying that.
I think that's
I'm so insecure.
enjoyable one.
All right, regardless of what you get paid per hour, give your best effort. Or effort and attitude matters. There you go. Give your best at everything you do.
I think so.
That's a good one.
Yep. Keep the work rate high. Just keep, it doesn't matter. If you've got a goal in mind, it shouldn't matter what you're, getting paid per hour. Just the impact that you have on others is the most important thing.
And because if you put a lot of work and effort into working for someone else, especially initially, you don't have to then all of a sudden jump up your level when you start doing your own thing that starts to be really successful. You're like familiar with what it takes and how much effort you got to put in. But yeah, that's the list. I think there's some good things there.
Yeah,
Right.
a lot of self-explanatory things. I kind of like that. That was pretty fun.
Who's Patrick Bet David though?
I think he's
the guy who wrote to us, by the way.
Yes, who did the Love and Lust shit. He's a he's insurance company dude, made a lot of money, and then has started this YouTube channel called Value Tainment, which I've been following for a few
Has he got
years.
glasses?
No.
Okay, well, not the guy I'm thinking of. The one guy I've
He's
seen
got
on
a
YouTube.
podcast and done like a bunch of cool people on it. You've got 10 financial commandments, and we're just going to go through them because I guess we're all sort of financially savvy too. Well, not aware.
Literate,
We
aware.
try to become aware. We're learning.
I'm attempting to learn, yes.
Right. The first one is probably right in your wheelhouse here, boys. Develop a marketable skill. I think it's really important to leverage yourself and distance yourself and give you something that can set you up financially or just to give you a point of difference. And I think that comes back to what we were speaking about before in that list. It gives you, that something that people can approach you and talk to you. Oh, this is what you're doing. How explain to me about how you got that. So I think that's pretty
It's
good
just
point.
a point of difference. Have your own style or something like that.
Yeah.
That's stand out so you've got something to offer.
Righto, the second one, establish a budget. I think that's pretty self-explanatory too. I don't know how you boys do it, but we spoke about Barefoot Investor, the book, and
That's what I got dinner onto. So I think your first audio book was Barefoot Investor. And I
Yes.
tried to get you onto
First and only audiobook.
I tried to get him onto Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki.
great.
It's downloaded.
It's weird because I'll listen to podcasts for hours and days. I listen to podcasts all the time. And not only just like entertainment ones, just interesting interview ones, but audiobook is just different for me. I can't be bothered with the Rich Dad Poor Dad.
It's a good book. I'd recommend the read a lot.
I agree. It's probably going to be very beneficial, but
I'll spend so much time trying to convince him.
the budget thing's hard though. Like I have periods. I've only been trying for like a few months now, but there are periods where I'm really good with it. Then something will pop up, and then it completely throws it out. Then I'm like trying to get back in there. I'm not at a level yet where I've been good for the past like 8 weeks, but where I can, if the bad shit comes up, like I can't like
How do
It's
you
a
set
tough
your
one to adjust.
How do you have your budget? How do you set it up in terms of percentages?
I don't think I run off percentage. I don't know.
Do you make it automatic? So like automatically scheduled payments go in? Because I find that's when I do my best is when I've got to just come straight out, then I know what I've got left to play with at the end.
Yeah, I got that set up, the automatic investing. I got my main account where all the money comes in. I keep about 40% for rent and bills. Then I got 20% that I'm saving, 10%. I call it a splurge account as per what's his name who wrote Barefoot Investor.
What is it? Scotty
Pape.
Scotty Pape.
10% splurge that I can spend whatever on, 10% for a holiday, and then invest the rest, which I think is like 15 to 20%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got that all automated. So when I get paid, all that money gets split straight away. Then I also got Raise, which is another investing
That's a cool app.
which is a great app. It rounds up your extra. So if you go buy something for $9.80, it'll round up the next 20 cents and invest that 20 cents into that app for you, which I think is a great one and probably in this list later on.
It's surprising how much like that just compounds.
Yeah.
Just the little roundups that occur.
Because you got me onto Raise, and I use it as just like another form of investing. Like I just set up the recurring payment. Is it worth doing like that, or just build up to start investing through like self-wealth, which is like just a standard investing thing? Is it better off to...
What do you mean? Like,
Instead of just like investing weekly into Raise, like start investing into actual funds directly?
I think you can do both. I do both.
Both is good?
Yeah, I got both. So I think Raise is a good one. For me, I'm trying to think Raise is like for future in terms of like kids eventually. It'd be pretty cool eventually to say, here's your Raise account. All I did was $25 a week plus all my rounded up stuff. I think that'd be pretty cool because that's what my parents did for me. But then all the self-wealth stuff is what I'm going to use for myself. So
That's funny because I had that thought, like, this stuff seems like a good thing to just pass on one day. I don't know why that popped into my head, but that's exactly what I thought for the raises.
yeah.
Because it's just like a small amount going into it each week that over 18 years will be a shitload for your kids eventually.
On the budget, when you were talking about like that one big thing, how do you, because I struggle, like when it might be Rego or some shit like that, just a random payment that's like big, that just like throws your budget out of whack. How do you like get it back on track? Because I struggle with that.
Because, I mean, I think the big problem was I only just started even budgeting and thinking about my money a few months ago. And then like the big car, like I had to get the car because it's just those situations and things where I had to buy a new car. Then I had to service the car, children and things.
Family is growing.
But it's like I wasn't set up to be prepared to be able to just take it out of the emergency fund yet.
Yeah.
So it took the whole emergency fund, and then it's like, okay, now I've got to rejig things and try and get things back on track. So I don't know. I feel like I was able to just, for the past 7 weeks, it's been good in terms of the investing has got everything. Haven't even been tempted to go to the raise because that's the only one I would take out of from investing and whatnot. But it's like, I don't know. I'm still working that out. I'm nowhere near comfortable with how well I can save.
What else we got?
All right, number 3, we have get insured. I think pretty self-explanatory. Before you start investing, I think that's what you should be doing straight away in terms of third-party insurance for your car. True. If you have a house, I think obviously you want to be insured before you're looking to put your money elsewhere. I think that's
like just covering costs as well.
Correct.
Like worst case scenario, have the worst case scenario accounted for, and then go from there with your budgeting or savings, play money.
All right, number 4, make a debt repayment plan.
Just make repayments, I guess.
Don't miss them. It's worse for you.
Yeah, figure something out there.
All right, we touched on this before. Build an emergency fund. Pretty self-explanatory too, I think.
Do you reckon it's worth, like, you're in a different situation, Dinner, where, like, you're sort of a father.
Yeah, I mean...
But, like we're not. Do you reckon we need an emergency fund?
I think it probably has multiple different names, but I think it's important to have a little bit extra cash to deploy in your own, own ways that you might need it to. So number 6 is start saving for retirement. Pretty self-explanatory, I think,
That extra money in that super.
I think so. I don't think it's that complicated. But like also knowing about your super, like learning about it, because you've obviously got your employer paying and contributing to your super fund. But I think like with Australian Super and some other super funds, you can actually have control and get into some ETFs with that. So just having that knowledge there and using that to like make you can, it's almost a trading account to some degree.
And also just making it automatic, just that salary sacrifice or whatever, like an extra couple of % here and there.
Compounded as well, that's a big one too, right?
At 20 over 50 years.
Yeah, that's nuts. All right, number 7 is build up your credit history. Do you take credit?
Nothing. Well, actually, yeah, because I got car and home. But
does that matter? Like, if you've got really good savings, does the credit history matter that much? Like, as in, like,
I don't fucking know.
Do you need it?
To be honest, I don't have a credit card.
Neither do I.
You've used Afterpay for a period of time, did you?
Oh, I used it for like
once,
a one-off purchase because
Talking about Afterpay, what do you guys think about before pay? I think it's ridiculous. I guess it's still a similar line to credit, but I think.
But this is different though, because Afterpay is the.
You get the product immediately.
Yes,
you pay later.
But are you referring to where you can withdraw from your wages?
Correct, early.
So explain that.
I think it's you must be able to set something up with your employer and say, look, I want to. I don't know if it's a one-off thing or if it's a recurring thing. I wouldn't think it'd be a recurring thing, but you take a portion of your pay early, which for me doesn't make sense. Like if you're not disciplined with your money and you make bad decisions and you try and withdraw money early, I think that's going to create a lot of issues for yourself and for people around you. So I guess that's sort of a similar line with credit though, right?
And I think it's like also discipline. Like that just enables more bad habits.
The person going for it's probably the one who's not great with money because they need it early too. So it's just that's fucking a snowball. Like Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
No, I don't like that.
All right, the next one is quit the bank of mum and dad. And this is an interesting one for you, Luke.
Yeah.
You live at home. So what do we think about that, Lukey?
I mean, I have this chat with Dad and he thinks it's okay to leech. Like we call it leeching like we do. But he goes like, just contribute around the house. I don't know. I think like I'm still paying rent. So there's still and I've got to do the dishes 4 times a week and I think that's it. But
I think use it while you can. If you can live with your parents, like personally, I went to boarding school, from grade 10. When I left grade 12, I was in an apartment by myself. So haven't really had the opportunity to live with mum and dad. But I think from a financial standpoint, if you can, why not? It makes so much sense.
For whatever reason. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say it's expensive, to live by yourself and to pay your own way. And if you can have the contribution from your parents, I don't see why that's an issue at all.
For whatever reason, I wasn't able to be good with money while living with my parents and being leached off because I just found I was way more prone to spend more money. That was just something with me where I'm like, I needed to move out and start having more things that I need to pay on to even think about structuring where I put my money. There was some kind of mental block with me where I didn't even think about money at all while at home.
Did that scare you though before moving out? because you
No,
had no sort of awareness or management of
No,
your
because
money?
I thought to myself, I need to do this to like learn how to live with money, be in a pressure situation where I don't have a choice.
If you want to get over the fence,
Yeah,
throw your
yeah.
bag.
For whatever reason, I was just so complacent at home. Like I needed, in my head, I built up, I need to move out to actually learn how to manage my money. Which is, in retrospect, I could have just read one of these books earlier and got into it in a better position, but I wasn't there. Just wasn't even open to it until I moved out. It's weird.
The next one, probably more for you guys here. Clean up your online presence.
Wow. What are you trying to say?
Yeah.
Not trying.
I know what you
That's
mean.
not having a dig. That's, I'm just trying to say I don't really have a
Delete
big
history.
online presence. I'm not a huge social media user in comparison to a lot of other people our age, I guess. I think. How do you apply that in terms of financial though?
That doesn't seem connected.
I mean, I'm the same as you, though. I'm not a huge presence. Luke is on my back all the time about increasing my
No,
presence.
I'm just saying, create a username that people can actually find you.
No, that's not what you said. You said use it more, bloody TikTok scroll for 10 hours a day.
That's not what I said. I said
Look,
we're posting on
I
TikTok.
changed my name, Luke. Relax.
Know what's
I changed
happening.
my name.
But I don't see how that's related to fucking finance.
I'm just trying to read what they've got here.
You're more prone to buy things off Instagram if you scroll through it every day? I don't know.
I think just being aware, maybe in terms of a job sense, like don't have bad shit online.
I
But
think that's what they're
Watch
talking
list.
about. Yeah, don't
Cool.
put, partying every
Yeah.
weekend,
Just
drugs, alcohol, or anything like that. That's going to affect you getting that potential job, which is going to set you up financially. I think that's probably what they're referring to here, which I can understand that line of thinking.
just
So,
having almost like that third person like perspective on what you're putting out.
Put on private.
yeah, exactly. I think that's what it says here. Double check your privacy settings on Facebook, Instagram, and other networks to make sure that you're not adding to the mix unintentionally. So I think that's what they're talking about there. The next one, the last one, is get your key financial documents in order. Do you have a folder or a place where you store your documents?
The shambles.
Okay.
Absolute shambles. And that's something I want to do. Because recently with the car and the house, I've got different like insurances or repayments, I don't even understand what, coming out and going into different accounts. And it's very hard to check and balance when they're different logins, different apps, different banks.
Can you just streamline it into one account and you do dedicate it
That's
to bills?
what I'm wanting to do.
Okay.
I've been lazy getting around to it.
So initially you were just set up with different accounts, though, when you got these.
Yes. Well, because the home loan is through the home loan bank, which is different to my CommBank, which is every day.
Is that part of getting home loan? You got to go through that bank
Yeah.
with the account. Okay. Things I don't know about yet.
That's all right. And nothing else on that list?
Nothing else, no.
I got another financial list, but a lot of it gets covered. One of them was consider working with a financial planner. I mean, we're talking about someone in your 20s. Is that necessary? Just read a book.
If you're not capable of doing things like that, if you need someone to be on your back, keeping you in check, sure, get a planner. That probably would benefit me huge, but I don't want to do that because it seems unnecessary.
Is that because you want to try and not do everything yourself, but have that, not rely or have the...
Just be self-sufficient.
Hey, that's
Yeah.
part of it. I'd rather take the hit now and like not doing everything correctly now just to learn how to do it.
That's fair.
Which could be
That's fair,
accelerated through a financial planner, though.
Yeah. I guess to your point, it's important to learn yourself first.
While you can.
Yeah.
Before it becomes too
handing it off.
desperate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before
Yeah.
your time poor.
But then I wouldn't even need a financial planner if I know how to do it all streamlined. And
I disagree. Like, I think a lot of the big celebrities would have tons of financial planners, but they probably understand the basics of it. It's just offloading it so that they can do more
focus
of
on that
what
one.
brings
That's what
it
Mitch
in.
Creek was talking about, where you just focus on your
Yeah.
main thing and
Have your handlers.
offload the other shit to everyone else.
Just segueing a bit, isn't that interesting? Some of the big athletes that get paid big money early in their 20s, and then they probably don't do the right things, get a financial planner, they go and waste it. I mean, Shaq obviously has a pretty good rule, the 50%, he doesn't touch any of that.
So what does Shaq do, the basketball player?
Shaquille O'Neal, as soon as he got all his money, was sort of told, I believe by probably a financial planner, to save or don't touch half of his play money or his salary, whatever you want to call that, and then to invest and spend the other section. He's invested so well that it's just his net worth has grown significantly.
Yeah.
So, but it's you hear a lot of stories of these athletes just blowing their money on cars and girls and houses and things that probably don't actually return any money for them. So
Isn't the percentage of athletes who do that like ridiculous? Isn't it like in the 90s or something crazy where like so many end up with nothing?
Definitely higher than it should be, that's for sure. It's
insane.
ridiculous.
Considering the multi-millions that they get paid to finish the sport with nothing. Is it because they think they can just play forever?
I guess so. That's probably
what's the mentality behind it?
I mean, they're only playing for 10, 20 years. I mean, guys are pushing the boundaries. We think Tom Brady,
But he's like, even if he blew it all on one bet gambling, someone would give him money tomorrow just to write a book, or he'd have other opportunities. Like, he's not the the anomaly.
You got LeBron James is the same thing. I guess prolonging their body, but it's still a very short career.
But you've got someone who tears the ACL just after they've started the second contract or something like that, and then they're out.
Correct. Yeah, and they're the ones that are blowing it too early. So. What's the next one there?
Marketable skill. I think we've covered that. Give to others. I think that's a good one.
What's the difference? This is just another thing. 20 financial rules.
It's
as
a
opposed
different
to
list of the same.
Same shit.
Yeah.
Not shit, sorry.
We were struggling creativity-wise for this episode. Be careful about borrowing for anything else.
Anything else meaning not important shit?
I think credit card debt. That's what it's referring to. Thoughts?
If you're not good with money, definitely don't get a credit card.
If you don't have a
comes down to
plan,
how responsible you are.
I think anything requires a plan. If you're good with credit, if you have the discipline, if you set it out, you'll be fine. But if you don't, I think it's where the things like before paying credit will get people in danger if they're not smart about what they're doing. So
this isn't.
I would never get one. I would never get one at the moment. I still don't think I'm financially responsible enough yet. I think I could still be prone to things.
Well, your lolly addiction is almost an indication that this guy has 2 bags a day on the way home.
It gets to a week. There's a week leading up to when I decide no more, where it's like 2 bags of lollies on the way, consume them on the way, and just fucking go to town when I get home as well. But look.
Do you have any bad addictions with money or things that you probably buy too much you think of?
I don't think so.
Back in the FIFA points on fucking Xbox, I would go like crazy. That would be, when I was living at home, I'd waste my money on stupid shit. Like, fucking hell. Like, ridiculous.
I think I'm okay. Yeah, I don't think there's anything coming out of my bank account. One that's not on here but just popped into my head. Lending money to friends and family. Thoughts on that? And is there a right time to do it?
I guess you can't do it all the time because then they become reliant on you.
I think it depends how many brothers or sisters or how many people are asking. Probably situationally, but for me, it's a no-brainer. If someone needs money, give them what you can and move on.
Are you expecting that money to be returned?
No. I think if you go with the intention that creates a hostile environment and probably a family dynamic that you don't want. So,
but if you do like expect it back, doesn't that limit them exploiting you and just trying to use you for money all the time if their intentions aren't good?
I think that there's got to be a line where you go, enough's enough, and I'm not giving you any more because of what's happened in the past. I haven't expected it back. If you explain it that way, I think there's got to be a line somewhere.
Yeah.
I was listening to a Logan Paul podcast, and he said his brother Jake got a text message from their uncle and said, Jake, great work after his fight against Tyron Woodley.
Yep.
You're earning big bucks and have for a while now. Can you please buy me a newer model of my truck? This is the text he's reading out word for word. But, I mean, like, respect to him for having the balls to ask. Like, a newer model of my truck.
My truck's fine. I just want the newer one. Like,
I think that's
I want
pretty
the better
poor.
paint job.
I don't want
It's so
that.
bad.
That's shocking. I'm not a big fan of that at all.
yeah, like I would feel so bad.
Yeah, that's not great. The other one is learn to cook.
Oh, yeah?
I guess it's financial.
Particularly
Pasta's
if you're... My partner loves going out and eating. We went to Honto on Friday night and then banged $250. Like,
That was a big week for us then.
It was.
Like, we spent a bit on Tuesday night.
Yep. Yes, we did it at the Norman. So, yeah, I went out twice that week, and that's, I try to go out once, maybe a fortnight, once every 3 weeks if I'm lucky. But, that does add up when you think about, the price of some meals, and particularly if you drink when you go out as well. Like, a bottle of champagne, we got the cheapest one, was like $90, and you're like, wow. For like, for an hour and a half of drinking, it's pretty rough. But, look, I think the next point that's on the list there is get used to talking finances with your partner. I think that's a big one, as long as you set those boundaries.
How do you go about it?
I pay for everything, but I think in terms of I go to their place for dinner once or twice a week. I go on family holidays with them. It's not my family doesn't really put on holidays for Matilda to come on.
Well, your family is further away.
Yeah, correct. So that's I think that's a really big point. Getting because I think a large percentage of relationships would end with issues financially. So I think it's important to set that straight away.
Are you on the same page or do you speak about savings do you talk about, is it whether it might be budgeting for a holiday or budgeting to buy a house or anything like that?
So after, I've read Rich Dad Poor Dad, Barefoot Investor, and I've got my own set ways that I'll, divvy up my money, and Matilda does the same thing. The interesting one was that so I have a pretty large crypto portfolio. It's speculative, it's perhaps a bit of gambling, but I have a very large crypto portfolio in terms of the rest of my
family.
net worth. And I actually got her to invest in XRP when it was at its all-time high at $1.90. It dipped down to 60 cents. It's back to $1.16 at the moment. But so we're actually speaking this morning, she's not going to invest until she gets at least her two grand back, which is annoying for me because I understand the importance of compounding over time, and understand the importance of having the discipline to invest your money or put your money somewhere, where it's going to create you money. And it's annoying that she's had one bad experience probably through my, when XRP was rocketing, because crypto goes up and down, and when it runs, it can go really, really far. And, the net worth in terms of my crypto portfolio has actually decreased overnight by 10 grand. And you go, wow,
Yeah.
that is nuts. And then, so I think, you got to talk finances with your partner for sure.
Well, I mean, I don't have that much in crypto, but trying to figure out what it's worth anywhere like within a $2,000 margin. And it's like how do you value, like it could be 6.5, it could be 8.5, like either one. Like depending which time you open up the app.
Correct.
It's terrifying to even
Yep.
consider getting into. I'm not even.
So I've been in crypto probably maybe November last year, so probably coming up on a year. And the start of this year, I was so emotional with it. I was emotionally invested, checking it literally 10, 12 times a day. Now I check it probably once every 3 days, and I'm just so, even though I've got a large amount of money in there, I'm just detached. And I don't even look at it. I've got my own sort of working on my, saving and investing in ETFs and index funds at the moment. So, yeah.
That's good. Thank you for tuning into the number 5 podcast in the world. Let us know what you think of these tips. Some of them were good, some of them were shit. Maybe we added something to it on top.
Hopefully.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Cheers.
you.